Life is full of coincidences, but what if they happen at an unbelievable scale? Let's check some of the most unbelievable coincidences in history. Number 1. Mark Twain and Halley's Comet. Mark Twain, born Samuel Langhorne Clemens in 1835, famously intertwined his life with the celestial phenomenon of Halley's Comet. The comet, which appears every 75-76 years, was visible in the skies in the year of Twain's birth. Twain, known for his wit and literary prowess, predicted his own death would coincide with the comet's return. He stated in 1909, "I came in with Halley's Comet in 1835. It is coming again next year, and I expect to go out with it." Remarkably, Twain passed away on April 21, 1910, just a day after Halley's Comet made its closest approach to Earth. This uncanny prediction has cemented Twain's connection to the comet, making it one of history's most famous coincidences. Number 2. The Hoover Dam Tragedy. The construction of the Hoover Dam is marked by an eerie coincidence involving the first and last fatalities. On December 20, 1922, J.G. Tierney, a surveyor, drowned in the Colorado River while scouting locations for the dam. 13 years later, on the same date, his son Patrick W. Tierney fell to his death, becoming the last person to die in the dam's construction. This tragic father-son link on the same date has become a haunting footnote in the history of the Hoover Dam. Number 3. The Titanic survivor, Violet Jessup. Violet Jessup, an ocean liner stewardess, survived 3 major maritime disasters, earning her the nickname Miss Unsinkable. She was aboard the RMS Olympic when it collided with the HMS Hawke in 1911. Jessup then survived the sinking of the RMS Titanic in 1912, escaping in Lifeboat 16. During World War I, she was on the HMHS Britannic when it struck a mine and sank in the Aegean Sea in 1916. Jessup's survival, in these 3 separate disasters involving the largest ocean liners of the time, is a remarkable tale of endurance and luck. Number 4. The Double Tragedy in Bermuda. In Bermuda, an uncanny coincidence involved 2 brothers and a taxi. In 1974, a man was killed by a taxi while riding his moped. A year later, his brother was killed in the same manner, by the same taxi, with the same driver, and even with the same passenger. This extraordinary sequence of events occurring in such an exact manner has baffled many, and stands as a stark reminder of the randomness of fate. Number 5. The Eerie Case of the McLean House. Wilmer McLean's home is famously linked to both the start and end of the American Civil War. The First Battle of Bull Run began near his farm in Manassas, Virginia, prompting him to move to Appomattox Courthouse to avoid the war. Ironically, it was in his parlor in Appomattox that General Robert E. Lee surrendered to General Ulysses S. Grant in 1865, effectively ending the Civil War. McLean's claim that "the war started in my front yard and ended in my front parlor" captures this extraordinary historical coincidence. Number 6. The execution of Jean-Marie Dubarry. On February 13, 1746, Jean-Marie Dubarry was executed for murdering his father. Exactly 100 years later, to this day, another man named Jean-Marie Dubarry was executed for the same crime. This coincidence, involving 2 men with the same name committing the same crime and being executed on the same date, remains one of history's most curious instances. Number 7. The sandwich that changed history. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, which precipitated World War I, is tied to a peculiar coincidence involving a sandwich. After a failed assassination attempt, one of the conspirators, Gavrilo Princip, stopped at a cafe for a sandwich. By chance, Ferdinand's car took a wrong turn and passed by the same cafe, where Princip saw him and seized the opportunity to carry out the assassination. This chance encounter, facilitated by a simple lunch break, altered the course of history. Number 8. The coincidence of Laura Buxton. In 2001, 10-year-old Laura Buxton released a red balloon with her name and address written on it. The balloon traveled 140 miles and landed in the yard of another 10-year-old girl named Laura Buxton. When they met, they discovered numerous similarities beyond their names. Both had similar pets, hobbies, and even physical appearances. This extraordinary coincidence has fascinated many and underscores the unexpected connections in life. Number 9. The man who survived 2 atomic bombs. Tsutomu Yamaguchi, a Japanese engineer, survived both the Hiroshima and Nagasaki atomic bombings in 1945. On August 6, 1945, Yamaguchi was in Hiroshima on a business trip when the first bomb was dropped. Despite suffering serious burns, he managed to return to his hometown of Nagasaki. Astonishingly, he was present when the second atomic bomb was dropped on August 9, 1945. Yamaguchi survived both blasts and lived to the age of 93, becoming a symbol of resilience and a vocal advocate for nuclear disarmament. Number 10. The Lincoln-Kennedy coincidences. The assassinations of Abraham Lincoln and John F. Kennedy have fascinated historians and conspiracy theorists alike due to their eerie similarities. Elections. Lincoln was elected to Congress in 1846 and Kennedy in 1946. Lincoln became president in 1860 and Kennedy in 1960. Successors, both were succeeded by vice presidents named Johnson, Andrew Johnson and Lyndon B. Johnson, who were born in 1808 and 1908 respectively. Assassinations. Both presidents were shot in the head on a Friday, seated beside their wives. Lincoln was shot in Ford's Theatre, while Kennedy was shot in a Lincoln car made by Ford. Assassins. Both assassins, John Wilkes Booth and Lee Harvey Oswald, were known by three names composed of 15 letters. Booth ran from a theatre and was caught in a warehouse. Oswald ran from a warehouse and was caught in a theatre. Number 11. The license plate coincidence. World War I began with the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria. The car he was in at the time of his assassination had the license plate A-118. Interestingly, World War I ended with the armistice signed on November 11, 1918, or 11/11/18, number 12, the book coincidence. In the 1920s, children's author Anne Parrish was browsing a Paris bookshop when she found a copy of Jack Frost and Other Stories, a book she had loved as a child. She showed it to her husband, who opened it and found the inscription, Anne Parrish, 209 N. Weber Street, Colorado Springs, her childhood address. This discovery of her own book in a foreign city after many years is a remarkable coincidence. Number 13. The twin lives of Lincoln and Booth. John Wilkes Booth, the assassin of Abraham Lincoln, had a brother named Edwin Booth, who was a famous actor. In a bizarre twist of fate, Edwin Booth once saved Abraham Lincoln's son, Robert Todd Lincoln, from serious injury or death by pulling him to safety from a train platform. This act of heroism happened shortly before John Wilkes Booth assassinated President Lincoln. Number 14. The Titan's fictional foretelling. In 1898, author Morgan Robertson wrote a novella titled Futility, which told the story of an unsinkable ship called the Titan that strikes an iceberg and sinks, resulting in a massive loss of life. 14 years later, in 1912, the RMS Titanic, an unsinkable ship, met a strikingly similar fate on its maiden voyage after hitting an iceberg. The chilling similarities between the fictional Titan and the real Titanic are uncanny. Number 15. The Serente Crater and Constantine's vision. The Serente Crater in Italy is believed to have been formed by a meteor impact. Some historians speculate that Emperor Constantine's conversion to Christianity, following his vision of a cross before the Battle of the Milvian Bridge, may have coincided with a meteor strike that created the Serente Crater. This speculative connection between a significant religious conversion and a celestial event adds a layer of intrigue to Constantine's story. So these were the 15 historical coincidences that are hard to believe and think of. Comment below some of the coincidences that happened to you, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel by clicking the right circle, and don't miss the left video. I am sure you will like it too.